Birmingham, June 7th, 2026. A 21-year-old girl stood completely alone at the back of a grass court, rain-soaked and exhausted. And she did something that almost nobody expected. She held her nerve. But here's the part that will get you. Before this moment, every single time she had faced a player from a specific country in professional tennis, she had lost. Not most of the time, not usually. Every single time. 0 wins, 13 losses, and the woman standing across the net from her right now was from that exact country. So, how does a story like this end? And more importantly, how does a story like this even begin? Let's go back. Because if you don't understand where she came from, you cannot possibly understand how extraordinary this moment really is. The story starts not on a grand grass court in England, not in a famous academy in Mallorca, but in a city called Pasig City in the Philippines. In a moment between a young girl and her grandfather that changed the entire trajectory of both their lives. Bobby Mao was not a professional coach. He was not a former tour player or an elite trainer. He was just a grandfather who loved tennis, who saw something in his granddaughter and who handed her a racket when she was 4 years old. 4 years old. Before she could read properly, she was already learning to watch the ball, to feel the strings, to chase something down a court. She has talked about this in interviews that tennis was never about rankings or fame in those early years. It was about time with him. It was about that specific feeling of running after something and hitting it right and hearing him respond. That was the whole world. And here is the detail that tells you everything about this family. Her mother, Rosemary, was a former bronze medalist in swimming at the Southeast Asian Games. Her uncle runs the Philippine Sports Commission. Her brother played college tennis in America. Athletic greatness was not an accident in this household. It was the language they all spoke, but none of that prepared anyone for what a 12-year-old Alexandra Eala was about to do in France. The tournament is called Les Petits As. If you do not know what that is, understand this. It is the most prestigious junior tennis tournament in the entire world. Elite coaches from every major academy on the planet show up to watch this event because the children who win it have a tendency to become something. She won it, and the moment she did, a phone call was made to her family from Mallorca, Spain, the Rafa Nadal Academy, one of the most respected, most rigorous, most results producing tennis development programs ever created, had seen enough. They wanted her. And now the story gets complicated. Think about what saying yes to that call actually meant. She was 13 years old. She had never lived alone. She had never lived outside the Philippines. And the people asking her to leave were asking her to leave everything: her family, her friends, her grandfather, the court where she first held a racket, and moved to an island in Spain where she knew nobody, to grind on clay courts for hours every day, surrounded by players who had been training in elite environments their whole lives. She said yes. Most 13-year-olds cannot even decide what to eat for lunch. This girl decided to leave her country and chase greatness on a different continent. That decision alone tells you who she is. The academy in Mallorca did not treat her gently, and she did not want gentle. She trained under Joan Bosch, a coach who had worked with former world first Carlos Moya, and helped Spain win the Davis Cup. The sessions were long, the standards were impossibly high, and the work was relentless. She has never publicly complained about a single moment of it. What she built there was not just a tennis game. It was a mindset. That quiet, almost eerie calm she carries on court. That expressionless focus when the match is slipping away from her. That refusal to panic forged in Mallorca, one practice session at a time, across years of grinding and near total anonymity. And then the title started coming. In 2020, at 14 years old, she won the Australian Open Girls, doubles the Philippines' first junior Grand Slam win in over a decade. Then 2021, the French Open Girls doubles. Then 2022, and this is the one that made history, she won the US Open Girls singles. Not doubles. Singles. She became the first Filipino ever to win a junior Grand Slam singles title. 3 junior Grand Slam wins before she was 18 point. So the obvious question is, if she was this good in the juniors, why hadn't the world heard about her? Because here is the cruel truth about tennis that most people never talk about. Junior success and professional success are not the same sport. The players are different. The schedules are brutal. The opponents are grown adults with years of professional experience. The mental pressure of playing for ranking points and prize money rather than trophies and scholarships is a completely different kind of weight. Players who are legends in the juniors disappear from professional tennis every single year. 2024 was difficult. The results were inconsistent. The rankings were not moving fast. There were moments where it would have been easy to question the trajectory, but she kept working. And then came March 2025. Miami, the first week of the Wote's biggest combined event outside the Grand Slams. She arrived as a wild card, ranked 140th in the world. Nobody was writing previews about her. Nobody was predicting anything. Round 2, she steps across the net from Jelena Ostapenko, former French Open champion, one of the most dangerous ball strikers on tour. Alex beats her. Now people are paying slight attention. Round 3, Madison Keys, who had literally just won the Australian Open weeks earlier, riding the momentum of her first Grand Slam title. Alex Eala, wild card, ranked a 140, beats Madison Keys. Now people are watching. Quarterfinal, Iga Swiatek. World No. 2, multiple Grand Slam champion. One of the most consistently dominant players of her generation. On a hard court in Miami, in front of a packed crowd, Alex Eala beats her 6-2, 7-5. The entire tennis world stopped. Not paused. Stopped. That scoreline was not a close escape. That was a dismantling. A 19-year-old wild card from the Philippines playing the world No. 2 and making it look almost routine. She lost to Jessica Pegula in the semifinal, but by that point, the story had already been written. She jumped from 140 to 75 in the world after a single tournament and became the first Filipino player in history to break into the WTA. 2025 continued to rewrite history. She reached the Eastbourne final, the first Filipino to reach a WTA Tour final, before losing a tight 3-setter to Maya Joint. Then in September, days after making her main draw debut at the US Open, she flew to Guadalajara, Mexico, walked into a WTA 125 tournament, and won it her first professional. She lost the first set, reset, and dominated from there. That ability to lose a set badly and not collapse, to reset, to come back, to win anyway, that is not a physical skill. That is Mallorca. She claimed SEA Games gold, becoming the first Filipino woman to win that title since 1999, ending a 26-year national drought. She finished 2025 ranked No. 50 in one single calendar year, a Grand Slam semifinal, a first professional title, a Grand Slam main draw debut, a career high ranking, and a national sporting milestone. 1 year. 20 years old. And it still wasn't the peak. 2026 continued the ascent. She reached a career high rank in a world No. 29. She became a seeded player at major events for the first time. She defeated world No. 7 Jasmine Paolini in Dubai. And then came Birmingham, the Lexus Birmingham Classic at the Edgbaston Priory Club, held every year 2 weeks before Wimbledon. On grass, the most unpredictable, most unforgiving, fastest surface in tennis. Eala arrived as the top seed, 37, competing in her 15th tournament of 2026 and her first grass court event of the season. Her run through the draw was methodical. She defeated Priscilla Hahn 6-0, 6-2, ruthless, efficient, not a single wasted point. Against Alina Chereva, she won 6-2, 7-5, recovering from 2-5 down in the second set. In the quarterfinals, she dismissed Mananchaya Sawankayu 6-3, 6-2 in 1 hour and 21 minutes, the same player she had beaten at the SEA Games. She had barely been pushed. Until the semifinal. Rebecca Masarova Swiss ranked No. 132 came through qualifying. Eala won the first set 6-2. Then Masarova found something, and the second set went 4-6. Then the rain came. Not a light drizzle, a full suspension. And here is something almost nobody talks about when covering tennis rain delays. It is not the physical rest that gets to you. It is the mental suspension. You are in the middle of something urgent and deeply focused, and suddenly you are just waiting in a locker room, sitting with your thoughts, the score frozen, the tension still in your body. No outlet for it. Eala came back, pushed to 5-2, then the rain came again. Over an hour. She returned, Masarova clawed back to 5-3, but Eala held. Final score 6-2, 4-6, 6-3. She said afterward, it was such a tough battle today. Every time we got back and forth, you never knew what was going to happen. The rain was the hardest part. The final. Alex Eala versus Nikola Bartunkova. Czech Republic, seeded 5th. Ranked no. 69, and here's where you need to pause and feel the full weight of something. Coming into this final, Eala's record against Czech players in professional WTA competition was 0 wins and 13 losses. Not 11. Not 12. 13, every Czech player she had ever faced on the professional tour had beaten her. It was not a coincidence or a fluke. It had become a pattern, a statistical reality, a curse sitting in the back of everyone's mind. Bartunkova herself was 20 years old, playing in her first ever WTA singles final, which means she had nothing to lose and everything to gain. She had survived 2 3-set matches and multiple tiebreakers just to reach this point. The first set began, and Bartunkova was sharper, more precise on the important points. She took it 7-5, a Czech player. First set, the history bearing down, the curse very much alive. The crowd was quiet in that specific way crowds get when they feel something slipping away from a player they have come to root for across a week. And this is the moment. Not the Miami quarterfinal, not the Guadalajara title. This is the moment that defines who Alexandra Eala really is. Down a set, on grass, in her first grass court final, facing the 14th Czech player she had ever faced with every reason in the world to fold available to her, she made a decision. Not a tactical adjustment. Not a technical change. A decision about who she was going to be in the next 45 minutes, the second set. She was different. Sharper. More aggressive on big points. She found her serve, found her angles, and took it 6-3. Level. Deciding third set on grass, under pressure, in front of a Birmingham crowd that by now was fully on its feet. The third set went point for point, game for game, all the way to 5-5 before Eala found one final extra gear. 7-5 in the third. She won the match. She won the title. Final score 5-7, 6-3, 7-5. Her second WTA 125 title, the first, was Guadalajara 2025. Her first grass court title. Her first victory against a Czech player in 14 professional attempts. She broke the curse in a final, coming back from a set down 2 weeks before Wimbledon. She joined the list of Birmingham champions that includes Billie Jean King, Martina Navratilova, Maria Sharapova, Ash Barty, Petra Kvitova, and Angelique Kerber. Her ranking moved from no. 37 to no. 33, her Wimbledon seeding is secured. After lifting the trophy, Eala said, "I am so honored to be lifting this trophy today. Lifting this trophy does not mean that I will be among the greats yet. So I'm motivated to keep working, and I'm grateful for the part that this trophy has played in my journey." This match was incredible. I think it was anyone's game. There is a girl somewhere in Manila tonight, maybe in Cebu, maybe in Davao, maybe in Pasig City, near a tennis court she has played on her whole life, who watched what happened in Birmingham and felt something crack open inside her that was never open before. The sense that the distance between where she is and where she wants to be might not be as infinite as it seemed yesterday. That is what Alexandra Eala does beyond tennis. She makes the impossible feel like a matter of time. Her grandfather handed her a racket when she was 4 years old. He was not trying to create a world champion. He was just trying to spend time with someone he loved. But look at what that first decision grew into 2 continents. 3 junior, a Miami semifinal against the world no 2, a grass court title in England, a Wimbledon seeding, and a story that every single person in a country of 110 million people is about to hear. the ceiling is unknown. That is not a cliche with this player. It is a literal truth. She is 21 years old, still developing, still training at one of the greatest academies the sport has ever produced. Left-handed, which means every opponent has to recalibrate their entire game from the first ball. She has already shown she can beat the second best player in the world on a hard court and somewhere in Mallorca, in an academy that turned a 13-year-old from the Philippines into someone the entire world is now talking about. A coach named Joan Bosch is watching the Birmingham scoreboard and feeling something that probably does not need a word.